Hey, I did a post yesterday and there's been a lot of comments about it, so I actually thought it was worth popping in here and perhaps just reading it and seeing if there was anything else that came out. So here we go. I've been a naturopath for about 16 years. Back when I started, the industry and the training was completely different. About halfway through this time, I found myself completely disillusioned with this industry called health. I saw the strictest of health advocates and devotees who we strived to emulate have toxic relationships. I saw those who preached about the mind-body-soul connection, who sold holistic health, stop at how the body was functioning and what the latest study told them was the most effective therapy. I saw women time and time again push, squeeze, and contort themselves to be the thing they perceived they were not. I got to the point where I just wanted to yell from a billboard, pleasure, pleasure, please, please, just add a dash of pleasure and you'll feel great. Sure, do your diet, but do it with pleasure. Like it were an act of total love for your soul's container. Mostly my practice moved into one of gentleness. I would scatter ways of obtaining pleasure within health like a fairy sprinkling glitter. And if I'm really honest, it's because the she in front of me was a version of me. And I wanted to wrap her up and tell her it's okay to be soft. Your health resides in your vitality and sense of self, not in how strict and rigid you are. Health, as was taught through a lineage of men, is very different to the health I've come to know. I have 3 qualifications: the Advanced Diploma of Health Science or Naturopathy, a Diploma of Nutrition, and a Diploma of Herbal Medicine. I spent 5 years at uni, but those years of learning were nothing compared to what I've learned in practice and life. I called myself the Pleasure Nutritionist because I saw pleasure as the missing nutrient, and it's been my greatest learning. I can talk on a biochemical level. I can speak diet regimes and health paradigms with the best of them. But what good is that if your intimacy is screwed? If you're desperately unhappy and unfulfilled? If you are shades of who you really are, what good is that? Pleasure has been my path. It is the path of the feminine. And I want healthcare that's by women, for women. And Embark is where I teach that. And I just felt like the Pleasure Nutritionist I started probably 6 years ago. And I don't think I ever sat here and really went, the why felt so intrinsic to me because all I would see was diet and health regimes, and the stricter you adhered to this set of rules and this linear scope of what health was based on a printout of your cells and how they biochemically functioned, and you catered for all of the nutrient deficiencies, that you would be healthy. And that is not what I saw in practice. What I saw in practice was all sorts of eating disorders and women who were not shining brightly, and relationships that were foundational to the center of who she was, fulfilled and showing up in this world, that was crumbling at the ways because she couldn't move past this masculine way that she'd been taught to live and validated for and by. And if we could just learn the art of the feminine in healthcare that had been taught out of university because it couldn't be diagnostically measured or tested for, because it was intuitive and fluid and resided in the emotional state of being in the etheric, in the spiritual, rather than in the biomechanical physics of the body. We say it's holistic because instead of looking at your one symptom and treating the symptom, we treat the whole body. But do we? Because what impact is that functioning a function of a belief system that's toxic, that's completely transforming the way that cells are functioning, the way that neurochemicals are moving and hormones are moving? Because really, we know this through so many other virtual studies where what is reality, right? Because if I chose to fill my body with a toxic type of energy and anger, and I took a slide of my bloods at that point, they would be completely different to if I got myself into a bliss state from meditating for 3 hours or whatever the case may be. For me, it's probably more of an intimacy act, and then took my bloods, they would show completely different. So are we really as static as it is what my physical body says I am? And therefore, if I feed my physical body, the rest of the stuff doesn't matter. Or I can rigidly eat my way out of it, or, box and contain, as long as I do these things, everything else will work. As opposed to seeing how all of life is in a flux for your growth and your health, and that the very function is in the dysfunction, and that the more we run from the dysfunction, the more we push out the toxic people and the toxic experiences, the more the universe really collaborates with us and for us to help us come back into that wound, that hurt love that's sitting there, that experience, that trauma that's stuck on a repeat pattern. The more you work with women, the more you understand that if we're able to completely transform the way that we see healthcare, they're designed to be the free-flowing beacons of love through their body. And we don't feel deeply fulfilled if the flow of love is stopped. Now, love can be a huge spectrum. It's not just lovey-dovey romantic love. There can be ecstasy in the feeling of really moving into and releasing pain, or moving into and releasing heartbreak, or moving into and releasing anger. It can feel actually like there's an edge of ecstasy. And when we release the thing that's stuck on a cycle in our body and creating all sorts of havoc and dysfunction, we're able actually to come back to homeostasis, which is all our body was continuing to try to do through the vehicle of the physical body. It's freaking unbelievable. The more that you are able to enter the space of darkness with women, the less they feel they need to hold on to it. And the more they're able to release and continue to be the free-flowing beacon that they're designed to be of life energy, the healthier and more vital they become. So pleasure for me was at the crux of that, because that is not something we're taught. We are not taught that we were made by pleasure, for pleasure, of pleasure, that pleasure is the pathway to experiencing all levels of feeling in our body, and that when we do that, we become life energy, static creation. It's just a delicious experience of health that doesn't reside on solely what I'm eating or not eating. So, or what nutrients I'm taking, what vitamins I'm taking. It has something far more vibrational and subtle to it. And for me, that's what has been exceptional, is to be able to grow up the emotional intelligence of the women that I work with by virtue of simply leading them down a path that they can trust and allowing them a clearing that they can open into and experience exactly what that thing is for them. And they spontaneously heal. It dissolves instantaneously. I have seen the most incredible things happen in a moment. I don't think that in this quantum world, and everyone's starting to talk about quantum physics, but if you've never really seen a woman instantly transform in front of your eyes, then you haven't really experienced it, because we're not this flesh, right? It's beautiful. And the women who know how to lead women know that it doesn't come about by celebrating their light and championing how beautiful and kind and gentle and loving they are. It comes about by going, what's that? I'm not scared of that. You might not have anywhere else in the world to put that, but here. And I will give you the freedom and the safety to know yourself in ways you've never known before. And that is where healing is completely possible. That is transformational women's work, and we continue to move and cycle in that way. We don't dictate a path of I feel like this and I want to get to there, so here's the steps that I go. That's the masculine. It's not. It doesn't work that way for women. For women, it's far more how do we get you to the state of being completely open in the front of your body and the free-flowing beacon of I feel, I can shift it through my heart, and I can literally evoke you in front of me. How do I get you back to that state that is your truth? Not your habituated ways of showing up that, create so much tension that it's then kind of that energy gets denser and denser and denser until it manifests in something physical. The physical pain actually is trying to hold the thing that's so painful for you and saying, please, here, help me. I think the more that you're able to walk into women's darkness and love them for it, the more you're able to lead them into exponential expansion, because it comes from entering the spaces that we've not yet opened, not the other way around. I can hear my little people about to come in. Hi. What have you got?
Gwen has put rainbow wool everywhere outside.
That's okay.
And I don't want her to waste it. Oh, thanks.
Oh, rainbow wool.
I can't get out here.
I'll help you. Do you want to come over here? There we go.
When's Alicia going to get here?
Pretty soon. All right, so I'm going to head off, go parent. And I would really love for you to check out Embark. So I'll drop the link below. It is, whoa, she likes to lock my windows. Okay, I gotta go. I'll see ya.